Have you ever walked out of a job interview thinking, ooh, I don't think I should have actually said that? Well, today's video is actually about to try and save you from that kind of embarrassment, or to try and figure out what are the things that we should never ever say in any job interviews. Top of the morning once again, my name is Tshidi and I'm back with a brand new video. Today's video is focusing on the top 10 things you should never say in job interviews. Now, whether you're a seasoned professional or a graduate or somebody that just does recruitment like me all the time, there are certain things that we tend to say that will get us into so much trouble. And today's video is trying to, get rid of some of those things so that you can figure it out for yourself to say, have I gone too far or should I not have said that? The first thing we talk about is personal issues and family matters. One of the most interesting things about our lives is that we go through so many different changes and we go through so many different things in our current work life as well as family life. Now, where it sometimes gets really, really tricky is where we start talking about what is happening in our personal lives, where we end up sharing a bit too much about what's happening. Now, talking about family drama or talking about anything that you're actually going through that is too personal brings two issues. Number one is, do you want those people to feel sorry for you? Or number two is, what is the purpose of actually talking about certain that are too personal? If you're going to talk about family issues and family drama, make sure that it's related to that particular job, not something that has got no correlation to the job and the interview that you're actually going through. Number two, complaints about your previous employer. We all have those. We all have issues that we've had issues with our line managers. We've had issues with our companies. We've had issues with about so many different things. There's so many problems that we all have in our day-to-day work. But what is not helping you is sitting in that job interview and complaining about every single thing that happened in your previous employer. Now, number one is some of the information that you might share could be stuff that is not already in the public domain. Talking about the bad things that happened in your previous employer does not always paint a very good light when it comes to your new potential employer, because they look at you and think, ooh, something goes wrong. This person is actually going to say all the bad things about our company to the next company. So maybe not really the right person, maybe not the right culture. They complain way too much. The third one is a very tricky one, salary expectations. I think when it comes to salary expectations, saying it too early might not always add a lot of value into the opportunity that you're actually looking for. However, salary expectations can be used in your advantage where you're trying to figure out if the role is the right level for you or if the role is not the right level. So when it comes to that, try and weigh in to say you're using that to try and understand, is this the right role, the right level for you? Or are you actually just using it because you just want these guys to pay you whatever amount of money that is? So that's why it's extremely important to make sure that when it comes to salary expectations, that particular thing, the timing is perfect. Yes, you can share your salary expectations. Try avoid talking about what your current salary is. Rather speak about your salary expectations, but ensure that is the right time. I've already done a video about salary expectations and how to answer certain questions. Please check out the video here. But yes, it is very important that the timing is perfect on salary expectations. Number four, overconfidence as well as arrogance. I think this one is very interesting because sometimes confidence is important in job interviews. I've already done another video about public speaking for job interviews. Now, overconfidence sometimes can turn people away because some managers are a bit more reserved, and an overconfident individual sometimes bring a very different dynamic into the team, and it actually becomes a concern for that manager to say, will they fit into the culture of that particular space? But being confident about the information you know is a fantastic thing that you should actually be able to showcase. However, just avoid sounding like you're arrogant and the other company that you're actually leaving could not survive without you. And the best way of actually making sure that you test or to check whether you're sounding overconfident or arrogant is speak to your friends. Go through a little mock job interviews and answer some of the questions and then ask them to give you feedback as to how you came across in that particular mock job interview. The next one is political and religious beliefs. Political and religious beliefs are very tricky, and a lot of people tend to talk about what their political views as well as their religious views are, and I would avoid that topic because it never goes well. One of the things about religious beliefs as well as political views is that number one is it's got nothing to do with that particular opportunity, or it's got nothing to do with the job. So talking about those could make people feel some type of way. They could actually feel very uncomfortable to discuss that because they have a very opposing view as to that. Number two, you do not understand the extent as to what that person's religious background and that person's political views have actually meant to them. So sometimes saying anything that's disparaging to that individual will make them think you're definitely not the right person to actually hire in that particular company. So it is very important that when it comes to religious beliefs as well as political views, you avoid getting into that topic because it adds zero value into your opportunity to get this particular job. Number 6, guys, gossip. Hey, I think one of the worst things you can ever do, even if you're applying for a job internally, because one of the things that people tend to forget is that there are times when you're applying for a job internally and you're already in that particular company, you start talking about the things that you've heard on the corridor. Gossip about, oh, did you hear that so-and-so is doing this? It doesn't matter whether the person that is interviewing you is somebody that you know personally or you know them through your work. Gossip is the worst thing that you could ever do, because the problem with gossip is that it detracts from your real value that you can bring into the conversation. Number 2, it also makes people wonder what else you know about them. And then number 3 is, why is it that people feel comfortable talking to you about gossip things? What is it about you that makes people feel so comfortable to share that kind of information with you? So it's very important that when it comes to gossip and anything else that's around the corridor talk, you avoid discussing that in a job interview. Number 7, plans of major career change. Anytime you talk about anything that's happening where you're talking about the fact that you've got big plans of moving to another country, or you've got big plans of moving to another location, or you've got big plans of doing X, the problem with that is that it always gives the line manager the view or the understanding that you're using this as a stepping stone. So even if you do have those plans and they haven't yet materialized and you're at that stage where you're going for that job interview because you want to make sure that you get that job and then you can use that job as a next step, the thing that I'll try and avoid doing is discussing that. Try and discuss things that are relevant to that particular conversation, not things that are coming in the future, because that doesn't add value to whether you'll get the job or not. So please avoid sharing information that says you're using this particular job as a stepping stone for the next job that you're looking for. Talk about career plans that are related to this particular job and what you think you'll be able to see yourself doing as you go along in that particular journey. Number 8 is overemphasizing your career goals. I think overemphasizing your long-term career goals can also bring in certain elements of concern from a line manager. Now, there are things that you should remember when it comes to line managers. Number 1 is some managers are insecure about who they're bringing into the team, and they're insecure about the current job that they're currently doing at the moment. So the fear about you coming in and disrupting what they've been doing and what they've been successful at becomes a big concern for them to say, should we hire this person if they're going to come in and actually mess up what I've been working on? Number 2, the issue with sometimes talking about your long-term plans and your long-term opportunities is that number 1 is if the manager already knows that the company does not have a promotion culture or does not have opportunities of actually growing individuals into what that long-term goal is, the issue that comes in is that 1, because they're scared of disappointing you in most cases, they'll decline you because your long-term goals versus what the company does are not aligned. So it's very important that even though you talk about the long-term goals, you try to keep it as close to what the role is as possible. 2 years ago, if you spoke to me about AI and what AI is capable of doing, I would have told you that's not possible. But now, because you are in this stage where so many things do change, when you try to keep the conversation about your long-term goals, try and keep them as close to the time 3 to 5 years maximum when it comes to what you'd like to do with your career. Number 9, lack of preparation and research about the company. There is nothing worse than a candidate saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't have enough time to actually prepare for this job interview." That is one of the worst things. The only time you're allowed to do that is if somebody called you an hour ago and said to you, "Hey, listen, do you have a few minutes for me to actually go through a job interview?" That's the only time when you can use the line to say, "Listen, please note that obviously this was short notice. I didn't have enough time to research," but never ever have an opportunity where you've been given that call a few days before or even the day before, and you come into a job interview and your answer is, "I'm so sorry, I wasn't ready to, or I haven't prepared for this job interview." That already in the mind of the line manager disqualifies you for that opportunity immediately. The last one is TMI, guys. TMI, too much information. One of the things that people tend to do is when you get nervous, you tend to share things that you shouldn't be sharing. So try and monitor yourself. The moment you realize that you're talking for more than 2 minutes when you're answering a question, try and listen to what you're trying to say and listen out for some of the words that you say, because you can actually self-regulate. The only thing about oversharing some of these things will not necessarily help you in any other way. So please, whatever you can do, avoid TMI, because some people don't know how to deal with it going forward. Now, to wrap this up, remember, Every job interview is an opportunity for you to actually present yourself as a capable and a professional individual. So every time you actually get into that interview, try and keep as much of your conversations as professional as possible and make sure that the people actually at least understand a bit about your background and what you're capable of. And remember to always try and use the STAR methodology of answering some of these things. And once again, if you like this video and you've watched all the way here, please like, please subscribe, please share it with some of your friends, and please don't forget to share it with everybody else that you know. Top of the morning once again. See you in the next video. Peace.